You're invited to participate in a true multimedia experience coming to a home near you. LCM TV is bringing Lake County into the new millennium with news, live broadcast, information, music, talk shows, and local programming, all streaming in high definition online and soon to be on your Roku box. Join us at lcm-tv.com or be a part of our studio audience. You can also watch the shows at lakecomagazine.com as we provide programming to inform, enlighten, and maybe even enrage you. On Lake County Magazine Talk Show with Terry and Pete the Tax Guy, Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. Like racing? Try the Checkered Flag Show, hosted by Ace Naylor on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. All ages and divisions in regional and national fields. Joni Lane brings a positive light to you every Monday at 3 p.m. Pasha Space brings an international flair as they discuss ecological, health, and social issues in Haiti with people around the world. End up your week with positive, conscious sounds on Saturday at 9 a.m. with Sister T on the Bridge. This show is also simulcast on KMEC 105.1 FM in Ukiah. Our latest show, LCM TV News, is brought to you live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at noon, and rebroadcast at 6:30 p.m. and noon daily, Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday, featuring national, regional, and local news, weather, and sports. We have it all here for you on your local TV station, LCM TV. Join us online and soon on Roku, giving you access to all the best Lake County has to offer. We are LCMTV.com, your multimedia connection. Tune in for the fun. It's live TV at its best.
Good afternoon. This is LCM TV News at Noon. We're not your normal news. I'm Pete Schiffman.
I'm Megan Berger. In
national news to start off with, the U.S. carried out an airstrike in Libya early Sunday against the mastermind of the 2013 terrorist seizure of an Algerian gas plant that left 38 foreign hostages dead. The Libyan government issued a statement Sunday night saying the airstrikes killed the terrorist leader, Mokhtar Belmokhtar, and a number of Libyan terrorists in the eastern part of the country. American officials confirmed that Belmokhtar was the target of the strike, carried out by multiple American F-15E fighter jets. But they said forensic proof was needed to declare the certainty that Belmokhtar had been killed. Given the likely extent of the damage, multiple bombs dropped on the target, that determination could take some time unless terrorist websites issue an official statement of mourning. The Libyan government announced that the attack occurred after U.S. consultation with the Libyan interim government to take action on terrorist leadership present on Libyan soil. If confirmed, the death of Belmokhtar would be a major counter-terrorism victory for the U.S. against one of the world's most wanted militants. The airstrike came as the group's chief rival, the Islamic State, also known as ISIL or ISIS, has expanded its presence inside Libya, alarming Western officials because of the country's proximity to Europe across the Mediterranean.
In a significant move to deter possible Russian aggression in Europe, the Pentagon is poised to store battle tanks, infantry, fighting vehicles, and other heavy weapons for as many as 5,000 American troops and several Baltic and Eastern European countries. The proposal, if approved, would represent the first time since the end of the Cold War that the United States has stationed heavy military equipment in the newer NATO member nations in Western Europe that had once been part of the Soviet sphere of influence. Russia's annexation of the Crimea and the war in eastern Ukraine has caused alarm and prompted new military planning in NATO capitals. It would be the most prominent of a series of moves in the U.S. that the U.S. and NATO have taken to bolster forces in the region and send a clear message of resolve to allies to Russia's president, Vladimir Putin, that the U.S. would defend the alliance's members closest to the Russian frontier. The amount of equipment included in the planning is small compared to with what Russia would bring to bear against the NATO nations on or near its borders, but it would serve as a credible sign of American commitment, acting as a deterrent the way that the Berlin Brigade did after the Berlin Wall crisis in 1961. The proposition stocks to be stored on Allied bases and enough to equip a brigade of 3,000 to 5,000 soldiers would also be similar to what the U.S. maintained in Kuwait for more than a decade.
A crazed gunman, armed with an automatic weapon and shotgun, fired on officers outside Dallas Police Headquarters early Saturday morning before being shot by a police sniper following an hour-long standoff. Authorities later confirmed the suspect was dead. Dallas Police Chief David Brown said at a press conference that the gunman, who identified himself as James Boulware, ranted a 9/11 call after the attack about killing cops came within seconds of doing so in the case of several officers in the line of fire. Brown said investigators found a package containing pipe bombs near the headquarters buildings, and the suspect told police he had C4 explosive in his armored van. The package exploded as an explosive ordnance robot picked it up. 2 pipe bombs were also found in the van after the suspect was shot. When police detonated these devices, the gunman's van caught fire and ammunition rounds went off inside. Brown described a harrowing scene at police headquarters when the gunman pulled up around 12:30 a.m. and began firing, first with an assault rifle and then with a shotgun. Bullets struck police squad cars, the inside of the building's lobby, and a second-floor office. Brown said that during the on and off negotiations, a police sniper shot out the van's engine block with a .50 caliber bullet to disable the vehicle. At 5:07 a.m., more than 4 hours into the standoff, the suspect was shot through the front windshield of the van by a police sniper.
More than 1 month before 2 killers escaped from a maximum security prison in far northern New York State last weekend, a worker there who befriended them provided them with some of the tools to do the deed: hacksaw blades, chisels, a punch, and a screwdriver bit, according to criminal complaints. That worker, Joyce Mitchell, 51, of Dickinson Center, New York, was arrested on Friday and charged with felony promoting prison contraband in the 1st degree and a misdemeanor criminal facilitation in the 4th degree. Appearing late Friday night in a Clinton County courtroom in Plattsburgh, New York, east of Dannemora, Mitchell pleaded not guilty. She will be held in jail until her next court appearance, which is set for Monday. Mitchell, a civilian employee at the prison, had been under surveillance after being identified by the authorities soon after the escape as a possible accomplice, perhaps as the pair's planned getaway driver. But she had sought hospitalization at about the same time as the escape, complaining of a panic attack. Mitchell's arrest was the first major development in a prison escape that has frustrated more than 800 searchers who spent Friday combing the woods near the Clinton Correctional Facility, often in torrential rains, looking for the fugitives. Mitchell's arrest came after law enforcement officials said she had been cooperating with them and offering information that could be helpful in the hunt for the escapees.
Hours after President Obama made a dramatic personal appeal for support, House Democrats on Friday thwarted his push to expand trade negotiating power, and quite likely his chance to secure a legacy-defining accord spanning the Pacific Ocean. In a remarkable blow to a president they have backed so resolutely, House Democrats voted to end assistance to workers displaced by global trade, a program their party created and has supported for decades. That move effectively scuttled legislation granting the president trade promotion authority, the power to negotiate trade deals that cannot be amended or filibustered by Congress. The vote that prevented the president from obtaining trade promotional authority now imperils the more sweeping Trans-Pacific Partnership, a proposed trade agreement with 11 other nations along the Pacific Ocean that affects 40% of the global economy on goods ranging from running shoes to computers. The Democrat revolt left Republican leaders trying to summon support from their own party for trade adjustment assistance, a program they have long derided as a waste of money and a concession to organized labor. 86 Republicans voted for the program, more than double the 40 Democrats who supported it. But the trade adjustment assistance bill failed when 303 voted against it. Republican leaders then passed in a 219 to 211 vote, a standalone bill that would grant the president the trade negotiating authority he sought. But that measure cannot go to the president for a signature because the Senate version of the legislative package combining both trade adjustment and trade promotion. Representative for our district, Representative John Geromandi from the 3rd District, has stated he will not vote for and does not support the TPP.
President Obama is opening to expanding the American military footprint in Iraq with a network of bases and possibly hundreds of additional troops to support Iraqi security forces in their fight against the Islamic State. As Iraqi forces struggle on the battlefield, aides said that Mr. Obama would consider establishing a series of outposts where American advisors would work with Iraqi troops and local tribesmen. The bases would be run by Iraqis, and Americans would still not engage in ground combat, but they would play a more active role closer to the front lines The prospect of further escalation came a day after the administration announced the opening of a new base on Anbar province, an Islamic State stronghold, with an additional 450 troops, bringing the total in Iraq to 3,550, the size of a typical army brigade. Administration officials said that they would evaluate whether the new Anbar base makes a difference in coordinating the war effort and, if it does, would consider replicating the approach in other parts of the country. Although officials said it was possible that other bases could be opened again without sending more American troops, they acknowledged that more bases would require additional deployments. The goal is to retake the city of Ramadi, which fell to the Islamic State last month.
The ACLU is already looking at options to challenge laws signed by Governor Rick Snyder Thursday that will allow faith-based adoption agencies in Michigan to refuse to serve prospective parents like same-sex or unmarried couples, if doing so would violate the agency's religious beliefs. Snyder's decision on faith-based adoption came as the U.S. Supreme Court is on the verge of ruling later this month on whether same-sex marriages should be legal in Michigan and several other states. The decision came after the bill was placed on the Senate's agenda at the last minute, and with no notice Wednesday, passed and quickly concurred in by the House of Representatives. This is what Snyder said in a statement. The state has made significant progress in finding more forever homes for Michigan kids in recent years, and that wouldn't be possible without the public-private partnerships that facilitate the adoption process. We are focused on ensuring that as many children are adopted to as many loving families as possible, regardless of their makeup. ACLU attorney Brooke Tucker said the group is looking at ways to challenge the law on constitutional grounds. The Constitution doesn't allow discrimination based on religion, and you can't do that with state funds, she said. We're looking at our legal options and especially looking to hear from people who will be adversely affected by this. Critics of the bills have derided the legislation as state-sanctioned discrimination against same-sex and unmarried couples, especially because many of the faith-based agencies receive public funding from the state. But supporters say it will help keep all options open for adoptive parents while not forcing the agencies to compromise their principles for fear of legal retaliation or face closure because of a loss of state funding. Paul Long, president of the Michigan Catholic Conference, wrote Snyder, "If House Bills 4188 through 4190 are not signed into law, and if statewide policy changes in a way that would force Catholic agencies to choose between violating strongly held religious beliefs or ceasing cooperation with the state, the agency will cease to cooperate." The liberal group Progress Michigan said the swift passage of the bill was simply discrimination, sanctioned and paid for by the state. Snyder signed another bill Thursday that could have had impact on low-income families by discontinuing cash assistance for families who have a child who is chronically truant from school. Supporters said the bill will encourage families to make sure their kids are in school, but critics said it punishes entire families for the actions of one child in the family.
The European Space Agency, or ESA, said its comet lander Philae has woken up and contacted Earth. Philae, the first spacecraft to land on a comet, was dropped onto the surface of Comet 67P by its mothership Rosetta last November. It worked for 60 hours before its solar battery ran flat. The comet has since moved nearer to the Sun, and Philae has had enough power to work again. An account linked to the probe tweeted the message, "Hello Earth, can you hear me?" On its blog. ESA said that, there it is. Okay, sorry. ESA said Philae had contacted Earth via Rosetta for 85 seconds on Saturday, and the first contact since going into hibernation in November. Philae is doing very well. It has an operating temperature of -31 degrees Fahrenheit and has 24 watts available. Scientists say that they are now waiting for the next contact. ESA's senior scientific advisor, Professor Mark McCaughrean, told the BBSC that it's been a long 7 months, and to be quite honest, we weren't sure if it would happen. There are a lot of very happy people around Europe at the moment. Philae was carrying large amounts of data that scientists hoped to download once it made contact again. This is one of the most astonishing moments in space exploration, and the grins on the faces of the scientists and engineers are totally justified. BBC Science editor David Shuckman stated that for the first time, we will have a hitchhiker riding on a comet and describing what happens to the comet as it heats up on its journey through space. Philae is designed to analyze the ice and rocky fragments that make up the comet. Professor Monica Grady from the Open University told the BBC that scientists now hope to be able to carry out experiments to see whether comets were the source of life on Earth. Comets contain a lot of water and carbon. These are the same sorts of molecules responsible for getting life going, she said. What we're trying to do is find out whether the building blocks of life were actually delivered to Earth from comets. Scientists must now hope they can get enough power into Philae to carry out a full range of experiments. One ambition not fulfilled before the robot went to sleep was trying to drill into the comet to examine its chemical makeup. One attempt was made last year and it failed. A second attempt will now become a priority. Comet 67P is currently 127 million miles away from the Sun and getting closer. It is due in August to get as close as 115 miles before then sweeping back out into the outer solar system. As it nears the Sun, the comet will warm and its ices will melt. This process will throw out a huge shroud of gas and dust, and if Philae can continue to keep working, it will provide scientists with an extraordinary view of what is happening right at the surface of 67P. We will be back with your regional news in just a moment.
SSS Multimedia is sending you smoke signals, providing their clients with the ultimate communication and multimedia marketing, distribution, production, and web-based services. They feature high-def video equipment and quality audio sound. SSS is your multimedia source, from graphics for business cards to television production, radio, live sound, and everything in between. SSS is sending you smoke signals. Get your message out with SSS Multimedia. For more information, call 707-701-6416 or email info@sssmultimedia.com.
And a small correction to the last story. The comet's going to be 115 million miles away from the Sun, not 115 miles. On with regional news now. California State Auditor has launched an investigation of school districts and other local educational agencies to determine if they're delivering enough treatment to children with serious mental illnesses. In 2011, a change in law shifted responsibility for decisions about the mental health care of students with disabilities from counties to the schools. Since then, families, advocates, and child psychiatrists have charged that some of the state's sickest children are struggling to get help. A story in the Sacramento Bee last year focused on those complaints and on data showing significant drops in placements in residential treatment facilities since the law changed. State Senator Jim Beal, a Democrat from San Jose, chairman of the Senate's Mental Health Committee, requested the audit. He said nearly 80,000 children with disabilities had been receiving mental health services through the counties before the change in law. Now, due to the lack of data, it is no longer clear how many are being served. The state auditor will examine how well school districts and special education local plan areas are fulfilling their responsibilities to treat children with mental illnesses, how they're spending the money designated for these services, and whether the State Department of Education is fulfilling its oversight role. Critics of the change in law say there have been significant disparities in how well schools have followed through on their new obligations.
Officials have given final approval to an ordinance that makes Los Angeles, the largest city in the U.S., to gradually raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. The City Council voted 12-1 in favor of the increase Wednesday and forwarded it to Mayor Eric Garcetti, who signed it into law on Saturday. The wage hike received lopsided majority votes from the council last week and in May, despite complaints from the business community. Small businesses and certain nonprofits get an extra year to phase in the increases. Seattle and San Francisco also have passed laws that gradually raise the hourly minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Sonoma County marijuana growers came together Sunday near Sebastopol to talk about how their industry can come out of the shadows, flex some political muscle, and position itself for a day when its product becomes legalized for all adults. About 200 people gathered at the Sebastopol Grange for the first fundraiser of the newly formed Sonoma County Growers Alliance. Speakers exhorted listeners to get involved in both lobbying the legislature and electing local officials who are sympathetic to their industry. They pointed to the wine industry, the county's top legal crop, as a model to follow in developing a high-quality cachet and in influencing both state and local politics. The message, said Craig Litwin, a former Sebastopol mayor, should be, we're here, we're participating, we have money and we're not going away. Litwin, a founder of Citizens for Responsible Access, a pro-marijuana political action committee, said the flip side to getting recognized as legitimate businesses is that growers won't be able to flout environmental regulations by planting pot directly along creeks or diverting stream water need for endangered fish. Many present Sunday are looking ahead to 2016 for a possible state ballot initiative that would legalize recreational use of the drug, as has been done in Colorado, Washington, Alaska, and Oregon. Speakers at Sunday's event said that in the event such a measure passes, laws should be in place to make sure that small growers who now form the industry will be able to compete against large companies that may try to enter the market.
In a strong rebuke of Fresno County's medical marijuana cultivation ban, a Fresno County Superior Court judge said that $99,000 in fines should not have been imposed on a Layton man who got rid of his plants before Fresno County Sheriff's deputies could cite him. Judge Dale Ikeda said Zhang Tao, who was growing 99 plants with the medical marijuana recommendation, should have had 15 days to pull the plants before facing a citation. Sheriff's deputies went to Tao's home on March 2014 and told him that he needed to get rid of his plants, but they didn't cite him because they had no citations with them. 3 days later, deputies returned with a citation, but Tao had already removed all his plants. The Fresno County Board of Supervisors later fined Tao $1,000 per plant under the county ordinance, which had gone into effect in February 2014. But in a decision issued Friday, Ikeda said Tao should not have been fined. He reversed the imposition of the $99,000 fine and went a step further, saying that the language in the ordinance allows 15 days for removal of the plants. So even if he had not removed the plants before deputies returned to the citation, they could have remained without a citation or fines imposed until 15 days after after 15 days had passed. Lawyer Brenda Linder, who represented Tao, said that the judge went further than I expected, especially as it relates to the 15-day notice. It certainly should make the county and the city of Fresno and other local jurisdictions sit up and take notice. The Tao case references only Fresno County's ordinance, which covers unincorporated areas of Fresno County. Jeff Dunn, a private lawyer who represented the county, said during the trial in May that the county could fine Tao in violation of the ordinance because deputies found the marijuana plants on his property, even though they didn't issue a citation until days later. During the hearing, Dunn also said that the county has determined any cultivation of marijuana is a danger to the public and the plants could be removed without giving Tao an opportunity to remove the plants himself. Dunn said that the marijuana ordinance was about the threat to public safety, not a zoning issue. Ikeda took a different view. In his ruling, Ikeda said that the county has failed to prove immediate and imminent threat or an immediate danger to health or safety. He said the county needs to provide a reasonable time to abate the nuisance before imposing penalties. The judge said he attempted to reconcile state government code, which shall provide for a reasonable period of time for a person responsible for continuing a violation to correct or remedy the problem before fines are imposed, with the county ordinance that requires immediate plant removal. Ikeda said the ordinance is a zoning issue because its language says that medical marijuana cultivation is prohibited in all zone districts in the county. He also said that it is clear that the ordinance is regulating the use of land and is therefore a zoning ordinance. Because it's a zoning ordinance, Ikeda said, time must be allowed for a resident to remedy the problem. Last year, Fresno County supervisors approved paying up to $210,000 to Dunn's firm, Best and Krieger, to defend its medical marijuana ordinance. Dunn previously won a state appellate case that tested a medical marijuana ban 2 years ago. The state Supreme Court later chose not to hear the case upholding the ban, which triggered similar cultivation bans, including Fresno County's. Dunn said Friday he had not read the ruling because he was on the road. He deferred questions to Fresno County officials. The 1,000 per plant fines approved last year to send a zero-tolerance message about marijuana cultivation in Fresno County after dozens of violent crimes occurred in 2012 and 2013 were related to marijuana cultivation. Ellen Komp, Deputy Director for the California branch of the National Organization for Reform of Marijuana Laws in San Francisco, said she was encouraged by Ikeda's ruling. In general, I think it's very important that Fresno citizens have been pushing back. She said Ikeda's decision may affect the way other counties and cities consider imposing bans of medical marijuana. It feels like democracy worked today, she said.
Hundreds of stampeding goats dropped traffic in the Berkeley Hills on Friday afternoon, and a video clip of the spectacular scene is trending on Facebook today. The herd rushes down a dirt hill through eucalyptus trees before pouring into the street. A crossing guard holds a stop sign in the air, signaling cars to halt for the goat parade. At the end of the 33-second video, a goat herder and his dog trail behind, making sure no goat gets left behind. The herd belongs to the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, and every year the four-legged animals are released into the hills around Centennial Drive to munch on grass and reduce the fire hazard. Berkeley Lab employee David Stein took the video clip and posted it on the lab's Facebook page, where it has been shared over 16,000 times.
A giant purple blob from the sea, a slug, is invading East Bay beaches and waterways this summer, and some experts say it may be caused by warmer temperatures near coastal waters. These California sea hares are harmless plant eaters, but their big size and unusual abundance this year is turning heads at the shorelines in the cities of Crab Cove in Alameda and Miller Knox Regional Park in Richmond, as well as Lake Merritt in Oakland and Tomales Bay in Marin City. Officials have no precise count, but dozens have been seen on some beaches at the same time, and 24 were spotted last month in an inlet to Lake Merritt in Oakland. The first ones were spotted last fall, but more have been seen in May and June, including ones that captured the crowd's attention last weekend at an annual sand castle building contest at Crown Beach in Alameda. The slugs can reach 15 pounds or more and 30 inches in length. Also, the ones in the East Bay are smaller, although the ones in the East Bay are smaller, about the size of a large fish or a heart, or fist or heart, They are called sea hares because their thick antennae resemble rabbit ears.
They say warm weather. I think it's radiation. A conservative California assemblywoman has touched off a backlash of suggesting that God eased Texas's drought after the passage of anti-abortion rights legislation. According to an article in RH Reality Check, an online publication that covers reproductive health, Assemblywoman Shannon Grove, a Republican from Bakersfield, told an anti-abortion rights gathering that after Governor Rick Perry signed the fetal pain bill, an apparent reference to controversial legislation that banned abortions after 20 weeks and put new restrictions on doctors and clinics, it rained that night. Now God has his hold on California. Grove is quoted as saying, California sits opposite Texas on the abortion spectrum, with the Golden State's legislative leaders standing with abortion right advocates and pushing bills to expand access. Grove is one of the few lawmakers vocally opposed to abortion rights. Last year, she courted controversy with unsuccessful legislation banning sex-selective abortion. In a follow-up statement, Grove reiterated her belief that God's hand is in the affairs of man. Grove said biblical history shows a consequence to man's actions. We do know for sure that California's water shortage crisis has been compounded by liberal politicians' poor decisions, not properly managing our water resources, and refusing to build water storage for decades. Coming up next is local news.
The taxman's taken all my dough and left me in my stately home, blazing on a sunny afternoon. And I can't sail my yacht, he's taken everything I got. All I've got's this sunny afternoon.
Manticorp Tax and Accounting can help you minimize taxation, establish a corporate presence, and save you money. Our over 25 years of experience in domestic and international taxation and incorporation services makes us the best at what we do. Your first consultation at Manticorp is always free, and our discounted rates guarantee you will not end up paying for what you don't get. Try Manticorp today. For more information, call 707-701-6416 or email info@manticorpusa.com.
In the summertime.
We are back with your local news. Clear Lake Veterinary Clinic veterinarian Dr. Helen Sharp has been missing since June 10th from the Middletown Hidden Valley Lake area in what authorities say is an at-risk missing person case. The Lake County Sheriff Office received a current picture of Dr. Sharp's vehicle. It is thought to have taken out the stop sign at Hidden Valley Lake. It is believed that the vehicle was not operable, but they received reports that she may have been in Middletown in this vehicle on Wednesday, June 10th. Sharp is described as 45 years old, 5'4", 190 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes. And if you have any information on this person, please contact the Lake County Sheriff Department at 707-263-2690. And the vehicle is also described as a late 90s Toyota 4Runner, bluish gray color.
Very good. A second budget workshop for the 2015-16 fiscal year held by the Lakeport City Council Thursday resulted in a draft that will be submitted for approval. Thursday's meeting focused on the analysis of the city's general fund, which estimates revenues for the city to total nearly $18.2 million, and expenditures are estimated at $20.9 million. The apparent gap is accounted for in redevelopment bonds accumulated over the past years. These will be used as planned to cover the $2.7 million in improvement projects. The money is from redevelopment bonds that are sitting in an account waiting to be used on specific projects. According to Lakeport City Manager Margaret Silveras, city officials made it clear that the amount did not represent a deficit, as the public generally understands the term. Silvera likened the surpluses to having a savings account that can be tapped into. All surpluses will not be used this year, as some will be saved for the 2016-17 fiscal year. Additionally, the money can only be used for capital improvement projects. The largest expenditure in the budget accounting for approximately $10.9 million. Capital road projects include the Downtown Lakeport Improvement Project, which accounts for $1.9 million, rehabilitation of Bevan Street, pothole repairs and digouts, crack repairs, and striping of 11th Street. As for infrastructure capital projects, Lakeshore storm damage repair, renovations at the Carnegie Library, the replacement of 2 sewer mains, as well as the completion of the United States Department of Agriculture sewer and water projects are included. We rely very heavily on sales tax as the main source of revenue for the general fund, Buffalo said. Of the city's total general fund of approximately $4.2 million, sales taxes account for a little less than $2.2 million. Property taxes contribute a little bit more than $860,000. Although taxes make up 78% of the general fund, licenses, permits, and franchise fees are the second largest contributor, accounting for 9% of the general fund. The largest expenditures of the general fund is salaries and benefits, which uses 63%, or nearly $2.8 million. The first workshop was held last week, but required a special meeting to be scheduled so the council could hold its regular meeting. As the budget is still in draft form, some aspects may change between the first workshop and the final approval.
Meadowood Nursing Center has been recognized as a 2015 recipient of the Bronze Commitment to Quality Award for its dedication to improving the lives of residents. The award is the first of 3 distinctions possible through the National Quality Award Program presented by the American Healthcare Association and National Center for Assisted Living, the AHCA and NCAL. The program honors centers across the country that have demonstrated their commitment to improving quality care for seniors and individuals with disabilities. Meadowood Nursing Center co-owners Timothy Stewart, CPA, and Cheryl Cole, Administrator, are pleased to accept the award. Cole said that improving the lives of residents and families we care for every day is what brings us joy. This award symbolizes the dedication and commitment that we have to the quality journey. The National Quality Award Program is centered on the core values and criteria of the Baldrige Performance Excellence Program. The program assists providers of long-term and post-acute care services in achieving their performance excellence goals. The program has 3 levels: bronze, silver, and gold. Centers begin the quality improvement process at the bronze level, where they develop an organizational profile with essential performance elements such as vision and mission statements and an assessment of customers' expectations. Bronze applicants must also demonstrate their ability to implement a performance improvement system. Trained examiners review each bronze application to determine if the center has met the demands of a criteria. As a recipient of the Bronze Commitment to the Quality Award, Meadowood Nursing Center may now move forward in developing approaches and achieving performance levels that meet the criteria required for Silver Achievement in Quality Award. The awards are also sponsored by Associate Business Members My Interview and by National Research Corporation Endpoint Right. My Interview represents the voice of the nursing home and assisted living residents, families, and employees with quality measurement solutions and satisfaction surveys in the healthcare continuum. Meadowood Nursing Center was one of 545 centers to receive the Bronze Level Award. The award will be presented to Meadowood Nursing Center in October in San Antonio, Texas.
Signatures are being collected to place the Mendocino Cannabis Commission measure on the November 2015 ballot. A version of the measure was proposed to the Board of Supervisors by representatives of the Mendocino Cannabis Policy Council, an organization representing small marijuana farmers, but was rejected. In response, the MCPC has mounted a petition to take the measure directly to the voters. A representative of the MCPC said the organization has collected roughly 900 signatures. This is out of a goal of 7,500, which they believe is enough to meet the county's requirement of about 6,000 minus signatures that are disqualified. Jamie Warm, chairman of the MCPC, described the measure saying it's to protect the small farmer. As legalization comes into effect, a lot of the legislation is going to get passed in Sacramento that moves in line with corporate interest. We just wanted to offer protection for family farmers, which is essentially what Mendocino County is. It will allow us to create appellation so the small farmers can brand themselves. Ali Bulker, a member of the MCPC who has been charged with leading the petition drive, described the proposal as a modest and community-oriented initiative. She and about 40 other activists, mostly volunteer, some paid, are out in the community now, hoping to gather the required signatures by the July 20th deadline. The measure would create a cannabis commission with a primarily advisory role that would be elected by the Board of Supervisors and nominated by, according to the text of the proposed proposition, by stakeholder organizations in the community, including, but not limited to, the Mendocino Cannabis Policy Council, the Emerald Growers Association, and the Small Farmers Association. The measure would also define a small farm as outdoor cultivators with a canopy size of up to 100 by 100 feet or 20 by 20 for indoor. It should be noted that canopy is distinct from cleared space or fenced space and refers to the area covered by plant canopy.
Mendocino County announced Tuesday it was joining the Rural County Representatives of California, the California Hospital Association, and a broad-based coalition of the Medi-Cal providers known as We Care for California in urging the state legislature and administration to reverse Assembly Bill 97 of 2011 or Medi-Cal rate cuts and increase Medi-Cal payments to healthcare providers and health plans during the upcoming state budget negotiations. AB 97 cut rates to a variety of Medi-Cal providers by 10% off of the 2008 reimbursement rates. Further, these payment reductions may threaten the accessibility of services to individuals who reside in rural and already medically underserved areas. Mendocino County Supervisor and Chairwoman Kara Brown said that many Mendocino County medical providers have been impacted by these rate cuts, resulting in loss of services and limited access to services. Elimination of the Medi-Cal rate cuts is critical to Mendocino County, and we urge the legislature and administration to take these impacts into consideration as they enter budget negotiations. Medi-Cal reimbursement rates directly impact the ability of providers and facilities to accept Medi-Cal patients and therefore affects access to health care, the news release stated. The legislature must pass a state budget for the 2015 to 2016 fiscal year by June 15th and send it to Governor Jerry Brown for action. The 2015 to 2016 state budget will take effect July 1st.
On the Board of Supervisors' agenda tomorrow will be a discussion of the replacement of PG&E as our electricity provider. Many are saying the cost benefits do not outweigh the unknowns and the savings will be minimal while still using PG&E's lines. If you have any commentary in regard to this or wish to voice your opinion, please go to the Board of Supervisors meeting tomorrow morning starting at 9 o'clock a.m. at the courthouse.
We'll be back with the weather.
Yes, we will.
Sorry.
SSS Multimedia is sending you smoke signals, providing their clients with the ultimate communication and multimedia marketing, distribution, production, and web-based services. They feature high-def video equipment and quality audio sound. SSS is your multimedia source, from graphics for business cards to television production, radio, live sound, and everything in between. SSS is sending you smoke signals. Get your message out with SSS Multimedia. For more information, call 707-701-6416 or email info@sssmultimedia.com.
And we're back with your local weather. It was a warm night last night with a high of 74 degrees. Today we'll top out around 92 this afternoon. Tonight we'll cool down to a low of 57. Tuesday and Wednesday we'll have highs of 95 with lows of 57. Tuesday evening and Tuesday afternoon giving some light cloud cover and shade. There's a 0% chance of rain and our pollen levels will be moderate.
In sports, folks, the Warriors are 48 minutes, 4 quarters, 1 game away from the NBA title. Using predominantly a small ball lineup for the second straight time, the Warriors urgently sprinted and skillfully shot the Cavaliers out of Sunday's Game 5 at Oracle Arena, grabbing a 104-91 victory in a 3-2 series lead. Curry led the way with 37 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists in the tempo setting that helped the Warriors beat the Cavaliers 18-3 in fast break points and 48% to 39.5% in shooting. Cleveland countered the small ball unit the Warriors showcased in Game 4 by playing center Timothy Mozgov less, but the Warriors were fresher and better in the end. The Warriors will fly to Cleveland for Tuesday's Game 6 with the confidence that the Game 5 winner in 2-2 final series has gone on to win the title 20 of 28 times. They still got the fallback of a possible Game 7 at home, where they are 48-4 this season. Iguodala, who once again replaced center Andrew Bogut in the starting lineup, had 14 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 steals for the Warriors. Green put up 16 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists. Harrison Barnes amassed 8 points and 10 rebounds, and Leandro Barbosa came off the bench for 13 points. Sonny Gray lowered his ERA to a major's best 1.6 on Sunday with a 7 2/3 impressive innings and an 8-1 victory over the LA Angels. Gray yielded an unearned run and 5 hits, struck out 9, and did not walk a batter. The right-hander issued only 9 walks in his last 8 starts after giving up a career-high 7 on May 3rd at Texas. Gray is 5-1 with a 2.22 ERA in 8 career starts against the Angels, including back-to-back wins in April when he retired his final 14 batters in the first one and 18 of his last 19 in the second one. Eric Sogard drove in 3 runs, and the A's capitalized on 3 errors. They scored an unearned run in the second after errors by Iandetta and second baseman Johnny Giovettella. Josh Reddick increased the Athletics' margin to 2-0 in the third with a bloop single, and they tacked on 3 runs in the 6th and 7th innings. Jesse Hahn opposes Tyron Ross on Monday night in the first of 4 consecutive games against the Padres, who will host the first 2 before the scene switches to Oakland. The A's lost the first 2 games of the series played on Friday and Saturday, losing by the scores of 5-4 and 1-0. Oakland is stretched in last place, 10.5 games behind Houston. San Francisco Giants lost their 3rd in a row to the Arizona Diamondbacks, losing 4-0 yesterday afternoon. De La Rosa pitched an 8-hitter into the 9th inning Sunday, and the Arizona Diamondbacks chased Chris Heston after 5 innings in his first start coming off a no-hitter. De La Rosa won for the first time since May 12th, a span of 6 starts. He walked 2 and struck out 6 in 8+ innings. Hudson took over for De La Rosa following Joe Panik's double and Brandon Belt's single. He struck out Brandon Crawford and walked Casey McGehee to load the bases. Buster Posey entered the game as a pinch hitter, but Hudson got him to ground into a double play for his first career save. The Giants hit into 3 double plays with a runner on third and hit 5 into 5 overall. Crawford, in his first start as a cleanup hitter, had 2 hits for the Giants. The Giants lost their 4th straight overall and have lost 8 in a row at home for the first time since 1993. In the 3-game series, the Giants only scored 2 runs, being shut out twice. The Seattle Mariners come to town for a game Monday evening.
In our final word, Randy Howard didn't just sing about being an outlaw, he lived like one, racking up drug, drinking, and gun charges from Tennessee to Georgia. So it's perhaps no surprise that Howard died like an outlaw, too. The rambunctious crooner died Tuesday evening in a scene worthy of a country music song, complete with an outstanding warrant, a standoff with a seasoned bounty hunter, and a shootout in a log cabin on a quiet country lane. According to authorities, Howard was fatally shot after opening fire on a bail bondsman who showed up to his Lynchburg, Tennessee cabin to arrest the country singer. The bondsman was also struck by a bullet but is expected to live. The gunfight was a fitting end to a life full of raunchy lyrics and reckless driving. Howard first reckless living.
Probably driving too.
Yeah.
Well, one of his charges was the DUI.
Howard first broke into the business in 1983 with a single so scandalous country radio stations refused to play it. It was All American Redneck. It was a one-man wrecking ball of a ballad. Here he comes in his brand new black blue jeans with a beach blonde mama. He looks like a barroom queen.
That was my mistake.
The song began. He's got a beer gut belly and he walks tall and proud, and if you try to get smart with him, he'll punch you out. The song went on to include references to smoking grass and kicking, well, you can guess. They got it banned from radio stations. But that didn't stop the song from selling. Howard's record label chose to circumvent radio and go instead to jukeboxes, selling 45,000 copies within just a few weeks, according to a 1983 article in Billboard magazine. Soon, All-American Redneck bumper stickers were appearing all across the South. The song made Howard rich and famous, at least compared to the crowds he captivated in the rowdy honky-tonks. He went on to release 6 more records and perform alongside country music legends Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, and Hank Williams Jr. Court records suggest, however, that Howard had recently begun to act out his songs a little too closely. On March 16, 2014, he struck another car while driving without a license in Georgia, then fled the scene. In November, he was sentenced to a year of probation for the offense. Gwinnett County, Georgia records also showed 2 more hit and runs by Howard. He was wanted back home in Tennessee, too. According to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, Howard had recently been charged in Marion County with DUI, possession of drug paraphernalia, possession of a firearm while intoxicated, and driving on a revoked license. The country singer quickly bonded out, but apparently had no intention of appearing before a judge, telling a friend he was not going back to jail. Howard was true on his word. On Tuesday evening, he was at home when a bounty hunter, Jackie Shell, arrived with a warrant for Howard's arrest. Shell shot 65-year-old Randy Howard inside Howard's residence. Shell shot Howard after Howard fired a weapon at the bounty hunter, who also sustained injuries during the incident. Howard died inside the Johnny Walker home he had sung about. Shell survived. Video footage of the aftermath showed a broken stained glass window on Howard's weathered front porch. The shooting has raised questions about the rights of bail bondsmen who are not licensed in Tennessee. Shell, whom local media identified as a former policeman, had a warrant to arrest Howard. But under Tennessee law, the country singer also had a right to defend himself if threatened in his home. It wasn't exactly a surprise ending for the man who sang about shooting ex-girlfriends in the behind with a BB gun and wrote an ode to a female felon called Killer on the Run.
That's a hell of a story.
Oh, yes.
Boy, is that funny.
Only in America.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back on Wednesday at noon for our news again. Coming up today at 3 o'clock is A Positive Light with Joni Lane, our live show. Thank you for joining us. A repeat of this show is available at lakecolemagazine.com under 2015 Archives. Thanks again for joining us and have a great day.